Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about 5 tips for driving the speed limit. In this video, I'll be going over 5 simple pieces of advice that will help you maintain the speed limit while you're driving, okay? They'll help you avoid speeding. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Tip number 1 is don't try to keep up with the car in front of you. Oftentimes, when you're driving, you're going to be going with the flow of traffic. And it's very important to go with the flow of traffic for the most part. But if the car in front of you is speeding, don't try and keep up with that car. Because what's going to happen is, if you're trying to keep up with the car and you're using the car in front of you as a gauge for the speed that you should be driving at, then you're going to end up speeding with them. They're going to be speeding and you're going to be speeding. So there is some importance within the idea of driving with the flow of traffic for the most part. But if the car in front of you is speeding, then don't follow them. Don't drive with the flow of the car in front of you if they're speeding. Don't try and keep up with them. Make sure that you are not speeding along with the car in front of you. Moving forward, tip number 2 is to use cruise control. Cruise control is a simple function that the majority of cars have that allows you to set a speed for the car to drive at. So you basically, want to set the speed to the maximum speed that you want to drive at. And what's going to happen is it's going to allow you to stay driving at that speed. Now, one of the coolest things is that in a lot of modern cars, there is some sort of adaptive cruise control. So what it means is that the car is going to drive at a cruise control up to a certain speed with a certain maximum speed. On the Honda CR-V that I'm driving right now, there is adaptive cruise control. And what it allows me to do is it allows me to set the maximum speed, and it will slow down or accelerate as needed as per following the car in front of me, but it will only stop at the max speed. Basically, to sort of sum it up and simplify it, what's going to happen is, let's say I set the speed as 50 kilometers per hour, but the car in front of me is only driving 40 kilometers per hour. It's going to follow that car in front of me, the speed of the car in front of me, but it will not go over 50 kilometers an hour. So it's a cool little feature and function of many modern cars that will allow you to make sure that you are not speeding, but still following the flow of traffic. So use cruise control, whether it's a modern version of some sort of adaptive cruise control or whether it's just a classic cruise control. Use it to avoid speeding and drive the speed limit. Tip number 3 is to leave earlier. Oftentimes people will speed simply because they left too late and they're rushing. So instead of leaving too late or leaving just on time, leave earlier. Make sure that you're leaving earlier, because that's going to allow you to not feel as rushed. And if you don't feel as rushed, you're going to be less likely to actually speed. So it's very, very important to leave earlier, because the feeling of driving won't be as rushed, won't be as hasty. You'll just want to drive the speed limit to wherever you are going to go, especially because you're going to get there early, so you're not going to feel rushed. I cannot emphasize the importance of leaving earlier, okay? Tip number 4 is to check your speedometer frequently. Now, you have a speedometer on your car. Hopefully you have a speedometer on your car, and that's going to tell you the speed that you're driving at. You should be checking your speedometer frequently to get a gauge of how fast you are driving. If you're driving without checking your speedometer, then there's a good chance that you'll actually be speeding. So just check your speedometer frequently. Now, some people like to check their speedometer every 15 seconds. Other people like to check it every 2 minutes. You have to figure out what works for you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how often to check your speedometer. I'm just going to tell you that you should be checking your speedometer often as you feel is necessary. So with that being said, just glance down. You shouldn't be staring at your speedometer. Just glance down quickly, and it won't take your focus off of the road for long if you just glance down like that and see your speed. Last but not least, tip number 5 is to know the feeling of different speed milestones within the car that you're driving. Now, I'll tell you one thing. When I first got this Honda CR-V, I was driving and I looked down and I was like, oh, it feels like I'm driving about 40. And I looked down and I was driving like almost 60 kilometers per hour, I'm talking about, because I live in Canada. And what happens is every car seems to sort of feel different with regards to the speed that you're driving at. So with that being said, know the feeling of different speed milestones within the car that you're driving at. Know what it feels like to drive at 30 kilometers an hour or miles an hour, whatever it is, in the car that you're driving in. Then know the feeling of driving 40, of driving 50, of driving 60. This way, while you're driving, you have a good gauge of the speed that you're driving even before you glance down at your speedometer. And that's basically it. In this video, I've gone over 5 simple tips for driving the speed limit. I've told you simple tips that you can use to make sure that you're not driving too fast, but also you're not driving too slow, to make sure that you're driving the speed limit. They're easy tips, easy to use, and I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. What are some of your tips for driving the speed limit? Let me know down below as a comment. I'd love to hear and see what you write. And that's basically it. Really be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.